watching KSL Sports Live.
Good evening. We hope you enjoyed watching Purdue and Michigan. Now, if you're still wanting more football, you're definitely in the right place. This show is all about the quarterfinals and semifinals of the high school football playoffs, but it's also about BYU seeking bowl eligibility at West Virginia, the Aggies going up against San Diego State, and, of course, where we kick this show off with a Pac-12 bout at Rice-Eccles Stadium, where the Utes are trying to bounce back after last week's loss to Oregon, a game in which Coach Whittingham said that it was, quote, the most thoroughly and soundly Utah has been beaten in a long time. But he also said this past week at practice that he was determined to not let Oregon beat them twice. How do they do that? Well, you do that by coming out and taking it to an Arizona State team that has just one conference win all season. The Utes found the end zone on each of their first two possessions of the game. Bryson Barnes with a pair of touchdown passes to Devon Vele for the 14-0 lead. Utah's defense did its job, too. Former quarterback Jacob Conover getting sacked by Connor O'Toole. The Utes had 4 sacks in the game. Final minute of the half, another touchdown pass from Barnes to Munir McClain, and Utah led 24-3 at the half. Did the Utes cool off during halftime? Nope, not at all. Utah's first play on offense, Jaquindon Jackson going 54 yards for the touchdown. He finished the game with 13 carries for 111 yards, but left the game with an injury after that run, and he did not return. Bryson Barnes had one more touchdown toss in him. He completes it to Landon King. And with this game well out of reach, Nate Johnson comes in at quarterback, and of course, he goes 59 yards for another Utah touchdown. Utah forgetting that Oregon loss really quick now. 55-3 thumping of Arizona State. Barnes, 161 yards, 4 touchdowns. Vele had 7 catches for 56 yards. Utah's offense rushed for 352 yards in the win.
Regardless of how the outcome happens on Saturday, you got to be able to put that in the rear view. And so coming in Monday, kind of the talk that was around the facility was don't let a team beat you twice. And I feel like that really rang true through a lot of the players. That was able to kind of keep the mojo up because we got to go 1-0 this week. It didn't matter what happened last week. It was just a matter of getting over it. And so, the preparation, it's the same type of stuff every week. You just got to trust the process of the preparation that you put in each and every week. But, not letting a team beat you twice was definitely kind of the mentality of the entire team.
Last year during the recruiting cycle, BYU turned to the transfer portal to build up its depth at quarterback. The addition of Keaton Slovis from Pitt and Jake Retzlaff, the #1 junior college recruit in the nation. Slovis has had his ups and downs this season. Well, today he was ruled out with a shoulder injury. So cue Retzlaff for his first career start at BYU. The Cougars needing just one more win to become bowl eligible. Both teams entering the contest at 5-3. West Virginia scores on its opening drive. Can Retzlaff match that with BYU? He scrambles short of the first down. BYU going for it on 4th, and they get stuffed. Turnover on downs. The Mountaineers turn that into points. C.J. Donaldson, his second touchdown, makes it 14-0. Retzlaff had his moments in the first half. 9 of BYU's 10 first downs in the half came on Retzlaff completions. But West Virginia would score again on a 12-yard pass. They took a 27-0 lead at the half. Nowhere to go but up, right? 7-0 after 3 quarters. In the 4th, BYU finally breaks the shutout. Aiden Robbins with his first touchdown run of the season puts BYU on the board. But that was it for the Cougars. They gave up 567 yards of offense, 336 yards rushing, and they lose 37-7. Retzlaff was 24 for 42, 210 yards passing in his BYU debut. It's the first time this season BYU has lost 2 games in a row. Utah State's coming off a bye week, a week in which Blake Anderson said the only goal was to rest, recover, and recharge the batteries. Would it be the recipe the Aggies needed to take care of San Diego State? Both teams coming into the game with identical 1-3 conference records. The game was scoreless into the second quarter. Jalen Maiden to Mark Redmond. Touchdown gives San Diego State the 7-0 lead. McKay Hillstead left with an apparent injury late in half. Cooper Legas comes in, throws 50-yard touchdown to Jalen Royals. Aggies take a 10-7 lead. Early 4th quarter, Utah State adds to their lead. Devon Booth, 19-yard touchdown run. Utah State's up 17-7. 33 seconds left in the game. San Diego State able to tie the game on a 23-yard field goal. So we're going to overtime. SDSU gets the ball first and they score, but Cooper Legas strikes back. To Terrell Vaughn, we're going to double overtime. This time, the Aggies get the ball first, and it's Robert Briggs taking it in for the lead. You got to go for 2 in double overtime, and the Aggies use a little trick play to get it done. Terrell Vaughn throwing it in. Utah stayed up 32-24. Now the Aztecs turn. That's when Ike Larson calls game. The game-winning interception. And Utah State wins it 32-24 in double overtime. Legas finished 11 of 15, 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ike Larson had 8 tackles to go with that game-winning interception. Weber State was trying to end a 3-game losing streak today against Idaho State up in Pocatello. Quarterback Richie Munoz had a great second quarter, threw touchdown passes to Jaden Thrower, to Jacob Sharp, and to Hayden Meekum for a 21-0 lead. In the fourth quarter, it's Weber's defense scoring the points. Garrett Beck returns the fumble on that sack for the touchdown. They also had a safety, and Weber's back in the win column, 33-21. For the first time all season, Southern Utah has won back-to-back games. Justin Miller gave the T-Birds the lead with the first of his 3 touchdowns, a 27-yarder to Braden Whistler for the 7-6 lead. Isaiah Wooden had a monster game, though. 7 receptions, 168 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Southern Utah beating Lincoln University 35-6. Utah Tech was visiting Abilene Christian in the second quarter. Kobe Tracy, the touchdown to Ricky Johnson. Ties the game up at 7, but that was all the scoring Utah Tech would do. They end up losing their third straight 24-7.
A KSL Sports presentation. Game Night Live kicks off now. Sponsored by UCCU.
It's quarterfinal time for the upper classifications in the state football playoffs, but KSL Sports already in the championship mode. It's time for Game Night Live. The rest of this show will be dedicated to the high school football playoffs. And we start with a few teams that are just one step away from a championship game appearance. The 3A semifinals being played at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman today. Morgan and Manti, a pair of teams that have steamrolled their way to the semifinals. Manti, led by Mason Starkweather, who has passed for 3,400 yards and 43 touchdowns this season. But Morgan's defense is led by Lincoln Alder, who has 13 sacks this year. And the Trojans have 15 picks, too. Can they slow Manti down? Well, in the first quarter, Starkweather airs it out to the end zone for Stone Mortensen, a 31-yard score. Manti's defense smothered Morgan early, too, forcing 4 first-half turnovers. This fumble sets up the Templars deep in Trojan territory. Starkweather takes advantage on the next play, runs it in to make it 14-0. Later in the second, Starkweather to Hunter Stevens, and he does the rest. 51-yard score for Manti. Currently in the third quarter, Manti has a 21-7 lead. The winner of that will be meeting the winner between Canyon View and undefeated Richfield. First quarter, Canyon View's Jackson Jensen to Deegan Davis, spinning out of a tackle. 54 yards later, he scores, putting the Falcons on the board first. Later in the first, Jensen's pass this time does not find the mark. It finds Richfield's Slate Wrights, a 21-yard pick six. Richfield led 14-10 at the half. In the second half, Richfield would score 21 straight points. Capped off by the 39-yard touchdown, Reggie Hafen to Kai Thomas. Richfield will play for their first state championship since 1988. Well, I don't know where they're feeding the kids down in San Juan, but they have built an absolute football power in Class 2A since the 2021 season. They have reeled off 35 straight wins. Their offense has scored 60 or more points in 7 of 10 games. And today they were facing Summit Academy in the 2A semifinals. And true to form, this one was over quick. Parker Snyder accounted for 5 touchdowns. He ran for 2, and he threw for 3 more. This one to Brigham Nielsen. Make it 36 straight wins. San Juan easily advancing to the title game for the third straight year with the 51-0 win. All right, who will San Juan face? It's either going to be Layton Christian or South Summit. In the first half, Layton Christian keeping its Cinderella run going. Trevor Halaleo juking the Wildcat defenders. He's heading all the way downfield. He'll get out of bounds just inside the 10-yard line, but would score a few plays later to make it 13-0. Third quarter opening drive for South Summit. Bracken Lash to Braden Wilstenstein. It cuts the lead to 7. After a South Summit interception, Lash goes to the air again. A 71-yard bomb to Mitchell Gempler ties the game up. South Summit added a field goal in the fourth for the lead. The defense forced 4 turnovers in the second half, though, and South Summit is advancing to the championship game with that come-from-behind win. The Falcons and Pleasant Grove Vikings were in an overtime thriller. in 6A football. We'll have that and the rest of the 6A quarterfinals coming up. Plus, Bountiful and Springville came down to the final play, and a last-second thriller in Park City against Timpanogos, a finish that you've got to see. It's all coming up next. A month ago, the 8-0 Skyridge Falcons were poised to be the #1 seed in the playoffs as the defending state champs, but that's when Pleasant Grove got in their way, beating the Falcons in overtime late in the regular season. Friday night was the rematch, this time a 6A quarterfinals matchup, and it was another thriller. First quarter, Jackson Stevens goes deep to Trevin McClellan. 56 yards, ties the game at 7. Pleasant Grove's start to build a lead in the second, though. Carson Rasmussen to Mackay Peterson. Vikings up 16-7. Then late in the half, Rasmussen to Bronco Winterton. PG led 30-14 late in the third, but Skyridge turns up the urgency. Jack Burke scored 2 touchdowns to make it a 3-point game, 30-27. 13 seconds left in the game. Skyridge with a field goal to tie it up. Blake Hester connects, so we're going to overtime. Skyridge gets the ball first. Carter Sheffield, 5-yard touchdown, gives the Falcons the lead. Pleasant Grove with a chance to match that. The pass to the end zone, though, broken up. How about that play by Colby Smith to knock it away? Skyridge, with the overtime win, is headed to the semifinals. Skyridge gets the winner between #1 seeded American Fork and Bingham. In the first quarter, American Fork's defense bringing the pressure. Zane Edwards picks it off, takes it back for a 14-0 lead. Dylan Story had 3 touchdown passes. This 22-yarder to Josh Andrews gave them a 3-touchdown lead. American Fork would go on to roll this game up 42-14. On the other side of the 6A bracket, second-seeded Corner Canyon was taking on Lone Peak in the first. In the first quarter here, Isaac Wilson would get going with a touchdown to Preston Waka to make it 7-0. Later in the quarter, Jackson Blake to Mason Thorpe. 6-yard touchdown for Lone Peak. But in the second quarter, Wilson answers like this. The pass to Brighton Brady. He gets all the way in. Under 4 minutes to go in the second quarter, Lone Peak's Luke Christensen finds Jashawn Mayberry for the touchdown, tying the game at 14 at the half. Corner Canyon would wake up in the fourth quarter, though. Brighton Brady runs in the 9-yard touchdown, and Corner Canyon pulls away for the 35-21 win. The last semifinal spot comes down to either Davis or Lehigh. In the second quarter, Lehigh's Jet New passes it to Devon Eka. That's an 18-yard touchdown to make it 9-7. Later on, New finds Mays Madsen for a 19-yard touchdown. Lehigh would lead 24-7 at the half. In the third quarter, more from New. He's going to throw 32 yards to Grayson Brousseau. 37-7. Lehigh would go on to win it 52-21. They're returning to Rice Eccles, hoping to repeat, sort of, right? They were the 5A champs last year, now playing up in Class 6A. All right, with a 6-game win streak and the #2 seed in the 5A playoffs, the Springville Red Devils are without a doubt one of the favorites to get to the championship game. But no one told that to Bountiful. One of the most exciting games of the weekend was between those two teams in the 5A quarterfinals. Alta will face the winner between either Bountiful or Springville. In the second quarter, Springville's Tavita Valetti runs a 14-yard touchdown to make it 21-14. Then in the third quarter, Bountiful's Emerson Galeman finds Faletau Satuala for the touchdown. The game is tied at 21. In the fourth, with it tied up, Springville's Lisiati Valetti throws it to Luke Noddle for the touchdown. It's 28-21. Bountiful punching back. Siaki Fekitoa, 6-yard touchdown, tying it at 28. This game goes to overtime. Tavita Valetti gives Springville the 1-touchdown lead. So Bountiful's turn. Faletau Satuala is going to punch it in from 11 yards out. Makes it 35-34, and then the gutsy move. They decide to go for 2 in the win. Quarterback Emerson Galeman, he gets it. Bountiful moving on to the next round at Rice Eccles.
How about them Red Hawks? Yeah! We don't get this opportunity very much, so grateful for the opportunity. But we're hungry. We're ready for more. So
we have the community support. We feel like we've been close the last couple of years, and we punched it in.
The Alta Hawks almost seem like a team of destiny. Alemateo in his final season as head coach after 3 decades in the business. And this Hawks team is keeping his run going just a bit longer every weekend in the playoffs, taking on Roy in our Game Night Live Game of the Week. First play of the game, Roy's Robert Young fields the ball at the 2, and he's going to take it 98 yards. They would miss the extra point, but they go up 6-0. Later in the first, Matt McKay for Alta to Anthony Cottis. 8-yard touchdown. Alta takes the 7-6 lead. End of the first. McKay to Teleafu. Look at the juke move to get into the end zone. Alta's up 13-6. In the fourth, Roy down 13-9 on the 1-yard line. They get stacked up by the Hawks defense. Alta holds strong. They're moving on to face Bountiful in the semifinals. Top-seeded Timthew hosting 8th-seeded Brighton. Timthew got going quickly. Helaman Kasunga to Quezon Villa for the 7-0 lead. Timthew's Isaac Naliai had 2 first-quarter touchdowns. Brighton down 3 touchdowns when this happens. Watch Nath Massison. One of the best plays of the playoffs. The one-handed touchdown catch cuts the lead to 20-7. But Timthew was able to outpace the Bengals from there. Kasunga had 4 total touchdowns. Timthew advances 55-35. Timthew will face the winner between Olympus and Box Elder. Titans took control of the game in the second quarter. Chase Mosley, 26 yards to Luke Bryant. Then Mosley to Caden Lloyd. They connected on touchdowns of 44 yards and 46 yards. Titans with a 28-point second, and Mosley had 5 passing touchdowns. Olympus is on to the semifinals. Since 1996, when Timpanogos High School opened, the Timberwolves have never advanced to the semifinals in football. Friday night, they put themselves in position to make it to their semifinals if they could get the win in the final seconds. Timpanogos facing Park City in the 4A quarterfinals. Second quarter, Elijah Warner, 50 yards for the touchdown. In the third quarter, Park City's Carson Navarro. He scores from a yard out to make it 21-0. But not so fast. Timpanogos as Easton Bracing runs in the 1-yard touchdown, 21-7. Later in the quarter, Timpanogos to Chase Riggs to Gabriel Graff for the 5-yard touchdown, 21-14. Under 5 minutes left, Timpanogos Riggs to Livingston, 65-yard touchdown, making it a 28-24 game. One last chance for Timpanogos in the red zone. Park City rips the ball free and recovers it. What a defensive stop to win the game. Park City is advancing to the semifinals. Top-seeded Skyview taking on Green Canyon in another tight contest. In the third quarter, Skyview down 4. Dean Phillips, a 4-yard run, giving Skyview the 29-26 lead. Fourth quarter, Green Canyon down 3 with 1:22 left to play. The 1-yard dive from Peyton Wilson gives them the lead, 36-32. Skyview tries the schoolyard play here to try to win this game with no time left on the clock. Eventually, though, Green Canyon takes that ball back. Green Canyon pulls the upset off and will face Park City in the semifinals. Second-seeded Crimson Cliffs taking on number 10 Desert Hills in the first quarter. Crimson Cliffs quarterback Steele Barbin lets one loose, 70 yards to Maddox Olafipo, and the Mustangs take the 7-0 lead. A couple minutes later, Barbin on the run, finding Tyler West. And West goes 55 yards. Crimson Cliffs gets a big win, 34-16. They will meet the winner between Payson and Ridgeline. In the first quarter, Cooper Swayze gets a huge run here. He's going to get it all the way down to the 20-yard line. And, you know, when you're running the ball well, just give it back to the same guy, right? Swayze punches it in from 5 yards out. Payson's up 6-0. But it was all Ridgeline after that. End of the first, Nate Dolly to Carson Cox. 45-yard touchdown. The Riverhawks scored 45 unanswered points to get the win, 45-6. Beaver continues its march through Class 1A. The semifinal highlights are on the way, and year 2 of 8-player football. Those highlights are a must-see. I'm telling you, those are next. West, East, and Skyline, the only schools in the entire state, regardless of classification, that have more state football titles than Beaver High School. And on Friday, Beaver took another step closer to a 14th state championship, taking on Kanab. Start of the second, Kanab on 4th and 4, Griffin Bone to Cash Kabonik. 37-yard touchdown cuts the Beavers' lead down to 12-7. But in the second, Beaver pulls out the bag of tricks. Deegan Blackner takes the halfback toss and throws it to a wide-open Baylor Blackburn. 50-yard touchdown. Beaver getting the win. They advance to the championship game. Number 3, Enterprise, and number 2, Duchesne. In the second half, first play from scrimmage, Enterprise's Jaden Drake, 56 yards. And you know where he's going to end up, in the end zone to tie this game up at 6. Now, Duchesne was down 12-6 in the fourth when this happens. A long pass to Brody Jacobs, down to the 2-yard line. Jacobs would then punch it in to tie the game at 12. The game goes to overtime. Duchesne has first possession. They get stopped on 4th and 1. Enterprise would not be stopped on their possession. Watch this leap into the end zone. Braden Gardner. The Wolves move on to the championship to face Beaver. All right, this is just the second year that the state of Utah has had 8-player football at some of its smallest high schools. If you haven't watched it before, it's highlight reel waiting material to happen here, including 8-player football. 8 Canyon facing Rich over at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman. Rich scoring their 3rd touchdown on the Philly special. Jet Holmes taking the pitch, throwing it to Carter Hoffman for the 6th. Rich wins big, 50-14. They will meet the winner between Monticello and Altamont. Monticello beat Altamont 43-8. Tavon Black scored on Monticello's first play from scrimmage on a 75-yard run. That will be your 8-player championship matchup. We'll be right back. Hey, it's a college football Saturday, but the Jazz played the Timberwolves too. Highlights at 10.